Are you woke? Do you even know what woke means? Today we're breaking it all down. What woke actually means and which states rank as the most woke in the US. It's not as simple as you might think, and the numbers might surprise you. What does woke mean? For those who don't know, the term woke meant being alert to racial prejudice and discrimination. The term expanded to cover awareness of various social issues, including gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, and environmental concerns. In the 2000s and 20s, woke became a cultural buzzword, representing a broad spectrum of activism, awareness, and advocacy. While it originally had a positive meaning, like most things involving human behavior, it sometimes goes too far. The phrase has become so widespread that even states have adopted it into their branding. Florida, for example, uses the slogan, "Florida, where woke goes to die." This has led to heated online debates about which states are the most and least woke. Now let's look at the top 10 wokest states in the United States. 10, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a predictable entry, known for its social consciousness and balanced political climate. Cities like Madison and Milwaukee push it toward the progressive side. Madison, home to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, has long been a hub for activism, environmental consciousness, and social justice. Even before woke was widely used, the city fostered protests and progressive ideals. Students and young professionals are highly engaged in racial and social justice conversations, making it one of the Midwest's most politically active cities. Milwaukee, Wisconsin's largest city, has seen significant activism, particularly in police reform and racial justice. Various organizations advocate for equity and sustainability, furthering the state's progressive stance. Outside urban centers, rural areas lean conservative, but younger generations have embraced social awareness. Stats: 6.2% of residents attended a BLM protest. 4.76 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 33% get news from CNN or MSNBC. With major universities shaping progressive thought, Wisconsin remains a center for activism. Maine may not be the first state associated with wokeness, but its progressive values run deep. Urban areas like Portland and college towns foster activism, especially with institutions like Bowdoin College and the University of Maine shaping social consciousness. Environmentalism is a major focus, with Maine leading in conservation and sustainability efforts. Grassroots activism thrives due to the state's small population, allowing movements for racial justice, LGBTQ+ rights, and other social causes to make a significant impact. Stats: 11% of residents attended a BLM protest. 2.35 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 37% rely on CNN or MSNBC for news. Maine's education system and community-driven activism solidify its place among progressive states. 8. New York. New York's ranking on this list is largely driven by New York City, one of the most progressive urban areas in the world. New York City has long been a hub for activism, diversity, and social justice movements. However, upstate New York is far more conservative, creating a stark contrast within the state. The city has played a key role in historical social movements, from the civil rights era to LGBTQ+ rights. Protests and demonstrations are a daily occurrence in places like Times Square and the Brooklyn Bridge, reinforcing the city's woke identity. 12.2% of residents attended a BLM protest. 10.18 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 32% of New Yorkers rely on CNN or MSNBC. Siedme, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is one of the most progressive states in the US, leading in social justice, LGBTQ+ rights, and environmental policies. Top-tier universities like Harvard, MIT, and Boston University foster intellectual discourse on race, gender, and equality. Boston, a historical center for activism, continues to shape civil rights discussions with frequent protests and rallies. Stats: 13.8% of residents attended a BLM protest. 12.03 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 30% watch CNN or MSNBC. Beyond activism, Massachusetts drives national progressive change through legislation and grassroots movements, solidifying its role as a leader in political engagement. 6th, Minnesota. Minnesota has played a crucial role in modern social justice, especially after George Floyd's death in 2020. The Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, have long been hotspots for activism and progressive policymaking. The George Floyd protests, which began in Minneapolis, ignited global discussions on police reform and racial justice. Activists continue pushing for major law enforcement and social policy overhauls. Beyond activism, Minnesota excels in progressive policies, ranking high in education, healthcare, and workers' rights. The state has a strong social safety net, accessible healthcare, and some of the highest minimum wages in the U.S. Environmental consciousness is another key focus. Stats of 14.3% attended a BLM protest, 9.17 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 36% rely on CNN or MSNBC. With strong activism, progressive policies, and environmental initiatives, Minnesota stands among the most woke states in the U.S. 5. California. California is one of the most progressive states, but it lands at number 5 due to its deep political divide. Coastal cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego are liberal strongholds, while the state's interior leans more conservative. A leader in environmental policies, California pioneers climate change initiatives and invests heavily in clean energy. Homelessness and income inequality remain major issues. Rising living costs fuel debates on housing and social welfare. Stats of 13.1% attended a BLM protest, 12.54 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 33% get news from CNN or MSNBC. Despite challenges, California remains highly progressive and politically active. 4. Colorado. Colorado has undergone a dramatic political shift, evolving from a swing state to a Democratic-leaning stronghold. This transformation is driven by younger, progressive voters and an influx of residents from traditionally liberal states like California. Denver, the state's capital, is a hub for progressive policies, focusing on sustainability, public transportation, and affordable housing. Boulder is known for environmental advocacy and liberal social policies. A key factor in Colorado's progressivism is its stance on drug policy reform. Environmental concerns are a priority, with significant investments in renewable energy and conservation programs. Stats: 13.7% attended a BLM protest, 8.76 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 39% get news from CNN or MSNBC. 3. Vermont. Vermont is one of the most progressive states in the U.S., known for its small population and deep political engagement. With Bernie Sanders as a longtime senator, the state has championed policies prioritizing economic equality, healthcare, and environmental protection. Vermont was among the first states to legalize same-sex marriage, setting a precedent for LGBTQ+ rights. Stats: 12.8% attended a BLM protest, 11.18 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 40% get news from CNN or MSNBC. Vermont may be small, but its influence on progressive politics and activism is undeniable. 2. Washington. Washington State is a leader in political engagement, liberal policies, and progressive reform. Seattle, one of the most politically active cities in the U.S., thrives on social justice movements, from climate advocacy to LGBTQ+ rights. Seattle has been a hotspot for protests, including racial justice, workers' rights, and environmental activism. Stats: 15% attended a BLM protest, 12.34 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 37.2% get news from CNN or MSNBC. Washington's activism and policies secure its spot as the second most woke state. 1. Oregon. Oregon ranks as the most woke state, driven by Portland's activism culture. The city has a long history of protests and organizing, making it a hub for racial justice, climate action, and workers' rights movements. Stats: 21% attended a BLM protest, 17.18 vegan restaurants per 100,000 residents. 42.1% get news from CNN or MSNBC. Oregon embodies modern wokeness, blending activism, social justice, and progressive governance. Which state's ranking surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. And make sure to subscribe for more woke content.
And remember to be uniquely you.